Welcome back. Today we're looking at a piece about a 104-year-old man, Mr. Two, who disinherits his sons for a tenant family who cared for him.
And it's a great concept, but there's a huge issue right at the top. The submission has this fundamental disconnect between its goal to localize for a Western audience and the story's actual cultural DNA.
It's a massive collision, isn't it? The prompt literally asks for names from the US, UK, or New Zealand.
Right, but the whole story, the entire plot, it hinges on these deeply Vietnamese cultural mechanics. You can't just find and replace Mr. Two with Mr. Taylor and call it a day.
The story just wouldn't hold up.
It would collapse instantly. Think about the core conflict. The mother dies because her sons won't pay 20 million VND. You move that to, say, Auckland or Manchester. The first question a reader asks is, what about the NHS? Or where's the ambulance?
The whole premise falls apart. The raw, brutal logic of it is specific to that time and place.
Exactly. And then there's the scene with the village elders.
Oh yeah, where he calls them to witness him dividing the assets. In that context, it's a really powerful, almost legal act.
It's binding. But if Mr. Taylor in New Jersey calls over the head of the HOA to disown his kids...
People are calling Adult Protective Services.
Yes. It reads as eccentric at best, maybe senile. The author is trying to make it universal, but by stripping the context, they're actually turning a tragedy into sort of a farce.
I get the impulse, though. I think the writer is probably just worried that a Western audience won't connect with names like Tu or Chow.
It's a common fear, but I really think it's unfounded. Specificity is what creates universality. You know, people connect with the emotions, the betrayal, the loneliness.
Not the street names.
Not the street names. So the suggestion is simple. Just abandon that localization prompt entirely. Lean into the setting.
So keep the currency, keep the names, all of it.
Absolutely. Highlight it. That scene where the sons are shamed by the villagers, that only works because of the communal culture. That's their kryptonite. You have to trust the audience to get it.
That makes sense. It anchors the story. But that brings us to the next issue, which is also about anchoring. We get anchored in the past for a very, very long time.
Yes, and that's our second friction point. The narrative spends a disproportionate amount of time on the prologue, which really delays the introduction of the central relationship.
I felt that. It felt like a drag. We get the whole history of the house being built, the wife's decline, the funeral. It's pages and pages.
It's the backstory trap. The writer wants us to understand why Mr. Two is so angry, which is valid.
Of course.
But the heart of this story, the real so what, is his bond with the tenant family, especially the little girl Nu.
And she doesn't show up until we're way, way into the story.
Exactly. And that's a huge risk. You might lose the reader in all that 1980s tragedy before they even meet the characters they're supposed to root for.
So the suggestion is to condense that whole betrayal era?
Drastically. Turn it into a cold open, a sharp flashback.
So you wouldn't show the whole argument and the wife's death scene in real time?
No, you just show the scar it left. You could start with Mr. Two at 104, looking at his wife's altar. A line of internal monologue, something like, she died for 20 million VND. They got a house, she got a grave.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
It's everything you need to know in, 3 sentences? And then, boom, page 2, you introduce Mr. Lamb and Miss Chow.
You see the new family, you see the bond forming.
You see it grow, so that when the biological sons finally show up, we're already invested. We're scared for the tenants.
Right. So we shift the story's weight from the past into the present. Which brings us to the sons themselves.
And our third major issue. The antagonists are presented as these one-dimensional caricatures, which actually lowers the dramatic tension of the final conflict.
They are just cartoonishly evil, aren't they? They abandon their parents, vanish for 40 years, then show up demanding money.
There's no nuance. And if the villains are 100% evil, the hero's choice is easy. There's no dilemma for Mr. Two. Of course he's going to disinherit these monsters.
But I mean, couldn't you argue some people are just that greedy? Do they really need to be humanized?
It's not about making them sympathetic. It's about making them believable, and therefore more threatening. Greedy is a result, not a motivation. To make their return actually tense, we need to understand their twisted logic.
Okay, so what's the suggestion? instead of them just demanding cash.
Make them manipulative. Give them a line where they try to gaslight him. Imagine the eldest son saying, "Father, we didn't stay away because we didn't care. We stayed away because we were ashamed."
Oh, that's so much better. Because it might be a total lie, but it's a believable one.
Exactly. It's slimy. It makes Mr. Two pause. It makes the audience think, wait, is there a 1 in a million chance here? That hesitation is where you get suspense.
And right now, they just act as a monolith. The sons said this, they got angry.
It's a hive mind, and that's another missed opportunity. The fix is to just differentiate them. In the court scene, make the eldest the aggressive ringleader. Maybe the middle one is just a follower, but maybe the youngest is silent. Maybe he's looking at the floor, actually looking ashamed.
I love that, because that adds this whole tragic what-if layer to it. It shows the greed didn't just destroy the family, it destroyed them as individuals too.
It breaks the monolith. It turns the villains into 3 distinct, broken people. And that's just infinitely more interesting.
Okay, so we fixed the setting, the pacing, the villains. We just have to land the plane. And the ending, well, the ending feels like the writer doesn't trust us to have understood the story.
And that's the final crucial critique. The conclusion relies heavily on didactic preaching rather than letting the story's emotional weight speak for itself.
Yeah, after the court case is over, we get these paragraphs that basically say, and the moral of the story is.
It's the Aesop's fable syndrome. But here's the thing. If you have to spell out the moral, you haven't told the story well enough.
And the plot here is so clear. The sons lose, the found family wins. We get it.
We get it. And explaining it just deflates all the emotion. It turns this moving piece into a lecture. The suggestion is to just cut that whole philosophical summary.
Just delete it?
Delete it completely. Don't end on the judge's gavel, but end on an image, something that evokes the emotion without naming it.
Like that moment with Nu, the little girl.
Exactly. End there. The scene should just be the sons storm out of the courtroom. The dust settles. Mr. Two looks down, and Nu is there. She takes his old hand in her small one, smiles.
End scene.
End scene.
That's it.
That's so much better.
Because that image of their hands, that is the inheritance. You don't need to say it.
It respects the reader. It lets you feel the warmth without being told, you should feel warm now. It just lingers.
It seems like the theme running through all of this feedback is just trust. Trust the setting, trust the reader, trust your characters.
That's the headline. The raw material here is gold. I mean, a 104-year-old protagonist is so fascinating. This is all just about clearing away the clutter so that gold can actually shine.
So let's recap the action plan. First, the westernization prompt.
Burn it. Keep the story in Vietnam. The cultural specificity is its greatest strength, not a weakness.
Second, the timeline.
Be ruthless. Condense that 1980s backstory into a sharp, cold open. Get us to the found family fast. We need to fall in love with them.
Third, the villains.
Give them a strategy. Make them manipulative, not just greedy. And break them apart. Give them distinct personalities and reactions.
And finally, the ending.
Show, don't preach, cut the moralizing lecture, and end on a powerful, quiet image. That handshake between the old man and the little girl.
I really hope the listener gives this a shot because the core story here is just beautiful. An old man finding a new reason to live at his age.
It's a story about legacy. And this piece deserves a legacy of its own, one that stands on its own 2 feet without needing apologies or explanations.
We would love to see the version of this story where Mr. Two and Nu are the stars from the beginning. So please rewrite this and send it back to us. Trust your material.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to reading it.
That wraps up this session. Keep writing, keep cutting, and we'll see you next time.